This is Frank Islam, Chairman and CEO of FY Investment Group and your host of Washington Current Review, where we interview leading voices from business and politics and explore the topics of current interest that impact you, the viewer. Today our guest is Ambassador Osman Siddique, former U.S. Ambassador to Fiji and the first American Muslim to serve as U.S. Ambassador. We are proud of him. He'll be discussing the topic of U.S. policy in engaging the Muslim world. Before I introduce to you Ambassador Siddique, I want to say I find him very charming, very intelligent, very engaging person. People like him give us a source of inspiration to all of us. We want to thank him for his service to our nation. Thank you very much for coming to our show. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you for this wonderful introduction. I appreciate it.
You're most welcome. President Obama, during the inaugural speech, reached out to the Muslim world in his inaugural address. And he said, if I remember correctly, we need to build bridges with the Muslim based on mutual interest and mutual respect. What step does he need to take to successful in engaging Muslim world?
It's a great question, Frank, to start off with. And as you know, when he mentioned the word Muslim twice in his inaugural address, this was historical. No presidential inaugural speech ever mentioned the word Muslim. So this was very heartening. Now, to answer your question directly, first of all, what America needs to do is to show even-handedness in its policies overseas, especially in relation to its new effort in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And as you know, yesterday he announced the appointment of a special envoy, Senator George Mitchell, for the Middle East issues, and also Ambassador Holbrooke for Pakistan and Afghanistan, which is again a huge issue that impacts our national security. So things like that he has done. 2 executive orders he passed, closing Guantanamo and forbidding torture, making it illegal. These are great manifestations of what he is about to do as far as expanding and collaborating with all of the Muslim world.
Well, that's the right thing to do. What do you think of the new administration's idea of opening America houses in cities across the Arab world? As a matter of fact, Senator Clinton on her hearing said, if I remember correctly, we need to build bridges with our friends, with our foes alike. She also said that we need to listen to the people and speak to the people in the Muslim world.
If you remember, this is not really a brand new idea. The old American centers that were all over the world, the USIS, where you could go and read books, see an American movie and stuff like that. So I think that idea has been will be rejuvenated, and I tell you, it is a powerful tool. And frankly speaking, if you think what the magnetism of American music, culture, movies, science, culture, if these are properly propagated in all over the world, not necessarily only in the Islamic world, I think America's greatness, there's a subliminal message in all of these things. I just tell you a little example. As you go to the Middle East, I was in Qatar about 3 months ago, and as we were driving, somebody said, these are all American fast food restaurants. I was noticing a Burger King, and next to it was a kebab house.
Yes.
In front of the Burger King, there are about a line that was about 50 people, and the kebab house was moderately. You know what's the issue here? I'm not saying that the Burger King is necessarily better than kebab and all those things. It's a relative thing. But when an Arab or a foreigner walks into an American fast food, they are not going there for the food. They want a slice of America.
Slice of America. Very well said.
So this is what America can and will present to the whole world, that we care, and we want you to be inclusive. And that has been the message of our new president, Barack Obama.
There's no question. His message resonates very well, not only with me, with all over the world. Some say the war on terrorism has not been this successful because the U.S. has failed to address the root cause. What's your thought on this thing? we have really not been able to combat terrorism.
I think there is some value to that statement, because you just cannot root out terrorism by brute force only. You must go into the root cause of the problem, and the problems are social, economic, political. You know, as I said before, that we need to come to an equitable agreement, solution to the Palestinian issue. You know, the security and the integrity of Israel is unquestionable. It's one of our greatest ally. At the same time, as President Obama said yesterday, we got to be, we got to be even-handed. We got to look into the plight of the Palestinians. The two-state policies that he's talked about is hopefully will be implemented, and Senator George Mitchell is going to be at it with all the dynamos and all the cylinders he has. So I'm very hopeful about it. The other thing is that the United States tends to support autocratic dictators as their partners. You know, they have to invest in the people. It is important, you know, that when we go to a country, because that leader has aligned with our policy, we ignore the people. You know, so we have to worry about how we can help people in terms of education, in terms of lifting the economic status and everything. So it is very critical that we combine all these efforts and also reach directly
to the people.
To the people.
You know, the Bush doctrine, and Bush is gone, that was 2 days ago, about encouraging the democracies in the Muslim world. My question to you, should the U.S. continue its policy of trying to encourage democracies as a Muslim world, even though this may result in the election of extremists?
You know, in my opinion, election is not only what democracy is all about. It's a part of the democratic process. You know, what we have to do is obviously make sure that we don't impose our democratic principles on a third country. It has to be organic. It has to develop within it. We can encourage, we can show them, we can set examples. And you know, I don't know of an alternative system than democracy that works. I mean, you and
not that I know.
Not that I know. But at the same time, I think it is presumptuous of us to say that, look, you know, what works for me is going to work for you, and here it is, take it or leave it. That's not the approach. It has to come organically, and we can only encourage that process.
Okay, good answer. How critical it is for the U.S. to begin supporting Islamic renewal? You heard of the reform movement of Islam.
You know, this is a tricky question, because what I think is that, you know, Islam has proliferated over the centuries because it is a modern and contemporary religion, despite the fact that the so-called clerics that have tried to give it a very narrow-minded interpretation sometimes, which has hurt Islam than helped Islam. I mean, the leaders like Sir Syed Ahmed, for example,
yes.
leaders like Kemal Ataturk, you
yes.
know, these are leaders, thoughtful people who have given, who have brought Islam into the modern world. Islam is not a backward-looking religion. You know, we have been in the forefront of science, culture, literature, athletics, everything.
No question.
Unfortunately, there are some vested quarters which interpret Islam to meet their own personal agenda, and that has ruined it. You know, we are a very tolerant, Islam is a very tolerant religion. I give you another example. When Pope John Paul II recovered from his bullet wound that was when he was shot by Aga Mehmet.
By a Turkish man.
By a Turkish man. The first thing he did was go to his jail, and he sat with him and said, "I forgive you." And both of them cried. When Pope Benedict made that unnecessary comment about Muhammad, our prophet, and other things, what did the Muslims do? They burned churches. They killed an innocent Catholic nun in Somalia. That is not Islam. We have to, and as much as I disagreed with Pope Benedict, I wrote an op-ed on it. You know, we should have taken his offer to engage with him. Let's have a dialogue. You know, Islam is tolerant religion, and we have to portray it as somebody that understands. Other religions too. Coexistence is a fact of life.
There's no question. I just went to Medina not too long ago, and as you know, the Prophet Muhammad embraced even the Jewish people.
Absolutely.
In Medina.
Absolutely.
And that's what a wonderful thing that the Prophet Muhammad did. Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, to come into our show. I really appreciate that very much, and your thoughts that you shared with us was wonderful. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, Frank. Thank you very much from my side also.
That is our show. Until next time, this is Frank Islam of FI Investment Group wishing you a great week.